Right, we are live. Good morning, everyone. This is episode 168. We are hoping for a short show. It's just the three of us regular hosts here, and yeah, so there's not much to talk about. We will talk about the absence of 3.0 news, though we do have confirmation of the actual expansion title, Shadow of Revan, or Shadows of Revan. We'll talk about that. This is not data mined information. It appears to be actually official. So, how about that?
Now, your lips are not matching your audio, at least
No.
on my end. However, the sound quality is excellent. So,
All right.
Yep.
I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck about the video. Doesn't matter.
It was
I could
going
even-
a little Godzilla there, though.
Oh, all right. Let me turn it down a little. So I'll be even fuzzier. There we go. Fuzzy as hell. Syncing any better now? Test.
A little better. Now you sound a little metallic, though, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Not that it matters.
Right. Not for the final product. I can barely read your name, actually.
Oh yeah, I did switch it down.
Yeah, I know.
Check my router, make sure all's well.
all's well that ends well.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's as good as it's gonna get. So I'll just be fuzzy, and who knows maybe it'll clean itself up. All right. So let me tweet, and then we can get rolling. Anything we want to talk about prior?
I think I'm good.
All right, tweeting now then.
Oh, yeah, I gotta make sure. Yeah, I gotta get Audacity rolling.
All right, Audacity.
Test,
Good.
test. Looks good.
Are you running Internet Explorer, Jill?
Yes, it is. The Hangout is in IE.
Okay, we have tweeted. All right. Red, are you recording?
Yes, I am.
That's fantastic.
I think. Wait, maybe I'm not. Okay, there it goes. Let me go pull the batteries out of the AC.
All right. I guess we should vamp since we are actually live.
Yes, I feel the pressure to speak when I'm streaming now, so it's a very odd feeling, just having to fill the time like an old time radio disc jockey. You can't have
Indeed.
any downtime. It's fun, but it's a little draining actually. I'm going to talk about it in my week, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I just feel that if I was just speaking stream of consciousness style, I'd end up saying stuff that I probably really shouldn't. And exactly. Revan isn't real. He is in the shadows, says Will Sage, aka Ghost Mirror. So shadows or shadow? I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll come quickly enough, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that picture of Revan, the close-up of his glowing eyes and mask and all.
Yeah. I'll talk about how I just finished reading Revan.
First time?
Yeah. Wow.
Excellent.
It's quite good,
Jeez,
isn't it?
I wish I'd read this years ago at this rate. It would.
Oh,
it sets things up so well.
I advise anybody I know if they're starting a Jedi Knight that they should read the book first.
It puts Lord
So great.
Scourge into a completely different light, and if I'd done it, the Jedi Prisoner mission chain on my... If I hadn't... Well, I've already done it on both my Guardian and my Sentinel. If I'd done it on my... I would like to have Lord Scourge out for that, and just to see what the dialogue options would be if he says
he
something,
says
like when
stuff,
Revan's
yeah.
with him.
Oh, for Maelstrom Prison and whatnot.
Yeah. Once you've actually
Yeah.
pulled him, and
It's a good
did
idea.
they say,
Good, very
"Well,
good.
time to
I might
level
need
a
to
new
make a
Jedi"?
sentinel.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then let's stop missing a boot. You are ready, Red. You are recording.
Yes, sir.
Chill as I will be.
I
All right,
am.
let's go.
All right, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. Protocol? Why, it's my primary function, sir. This is episode 168, being recorded on Wednesday, October 1st, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey guys.
And with us today is Red. So, Red, what you been up to?
I got geared out. Like my gunslinger really is ready now with as the best I could possibly make with Ultimate Comms. And in the process, that also meant I spent a lot of money making sure that I had every legacy piece set up the way that I wanted to, and stripping pieces out and putting other pieces in, and rearranging, and sometimes doing it wrong, so paying twice as much to do it again. But
Yeah.
very happy to be ready with my gunslinger, which means that I am very ready for Thursday night, because come hell or high water, I will be doing hard mode ops, even if I have to be the ops leader and pug it. I'm going to do it. I got the gear. I want to use it. This week, however, I did pug a few story modes. In fact, I actually met some new guildies, which was a lot of fun. One of them was I noticed in our guild chat that they were asking for somebody to do the daily story mode, but I was finishing up a flashpoint at the time, so I just didn't respond. As soon as I got out, I straight up told him, I was like, hey, you still looking for people to do the story mode? And he's like, yeah, well, I'm just sitting in the queue because no one was interested. So I was like, that's fine. Let's group up and I'll sit in the queue with you. And we just started running around and doing dailies because I've been working on that Section X reputation. And then I followed him to CZ198, and I was, as I was talking to him, because I got onto our voice, discovered he's a fresh 55. He's been playing the game for a month. Apparently, he recently gave up World of Warcraft and said he wanted to play this game because, well, it's Star Wars.
Says it all.
And which I was glad. I ended up. We did end up, after doing a bunch of dailies, starting to form up a pug group. He decided he was just going to go sit and spam rather than sitting in queue. At which point, I texted a few of my friends and got them on to join us, and we were able to form up a group. And I can't even remember what operation it was. I think it was Terror from Beyond, but we nailed it. Like, we carried through. We had one guy who was absolutely terrible. I mean, just could not listen, could not learn, was doing everything wrong, and yet the rest of us were able to make it happen anyway, which is real satisfying. A lot of the boss fights, it was, let him die, okay, good, now we can finish it. But it worked out, and met another guy who wasn't in the guild who got onto our voice with us, and this guy had only been playing for 3 weeks, and had just hit 55 and was real excited about getting into operations. So, and the two of them, I ended up taking one of my healer friends, and we went and did some hard mode flashpoints with them afterwards, which they hadn't even done those before, and I was just, as we were going, giving them the boss descriptions, the fights and what to do, and they were really adaptable, real talented. So I'm kind of hoping I might be able to pull them in and start doing some of the ops with them, because their gear might not be ideal yet, but their skill level is certainly there. They learn and adapt quickly. So that was real pleasant. And I did hit Legendary with Section X.
Very nice.
If I were done with the achievements, I'd never have to go back. Sadly, I'm not, so I will.
What do you have left to do?
There's just the total
really
kills is some obscene number, and then I haven't done the heroic every week just because I don't bother to find 3 more people to go push the button, and there's an achievement for killing so many hundred of minions that are predominantly in the heroic. So I'm just going to have to do that heroic over and over. And there's a few. I still haven't killed, it's 4,000 beasts. I haven't done that yet. Just a few of them, but nothing major. And what I'll probably do is gather some friends and work on the PvP ones at the same time and just hunt Imperials, especially when Section X is one of the conquest planets. But it was a good week. That was pretty much it. I did spend a lot of time getting money too, doing dailies with various friends, just because I need to finish unlocking Nar Shaddaa. I've got 2 rooms left now, and I want to have that full 100% bonus to my conquest contribution.
Indeed. Chill, are you there? Something went horribly wrong. All right, Red, can you ask me about my week, and then
Sure. So that was my week. And Tio, how about you?
Well, I'll talk about raiding for starters. On our first day, we had the regular group, more or less. We did Hudmodred Fortress, cleared the first 4. Unfortunately, Corruptor Zero this week gave us a little more trouble than we would have liked. This may or may not have had to do with Kuze or Buze drinking a little bit, but who knows? Anyway, so we didn't really have time for too many attempts, well, for much beyond that, so we just did Nightmare Nephra and finished up there. And then because that's our short day, on our second day, even more of our regular group were out. We put together a reasonable group, and we did basically only the first 3 on Hudmodred Palace in those 3 hours.
Okay.
It was a suboptimal run, unfortunately. But yeah, anyway, this week it looks like we should have everyone, so we should make some solid progress and get back to Brontes at the end of Dread Fortress. In terms of our conquest, we were doing Republic side Taris, as I mentioned last week. We ended up in 7th place. Just some major contributors were Dread getting 410,270 over 4 different characters. Carmen, Caligari, and Bill also got over the cap on 4 characters. Bill had exactly 36,000 on all 4 of his, so he must have done exactly the same stuff, just one after the other. Very mechanical.
Very nice.
Very Bill. And personally, I only got over the cap on 3 characters. That was the Flashpoint week last week, and so it was really hard to kind of spam stuff. I did do the legacy achievements on all of I got them all done, all 8, like the 8 flashpoints and the bonus bosses in all 8. So yeah, that was all good. So this week I chose Section X because it gives a double bonus, not a triple, for the heroics on Belsavis, and that's pretty much it. It's Operations Week this week, so yeah. I like the planetary heroics because you can do those multiple characters and the points rack up pretty quickly. And I didn't think Section X would be quite that contested, but unfortunately, Section X, if you read the description for the week, it actually says War Zones, even though there's no actual War Zone bonus. This has happened in a previous week as well. So, unfortunately, some other PvP guilds may have chosen Section X because of that without actually realizing that. Yeah, not so good. So, well, whatever. We're actually, last time I looked, we were in 5th place this morning, so it's not going too badly.
No.
Yeah. And so with our own raid group, we may actually do something story mode just for the points in addition to our progression stuff. We'll see how we feel. All right. In other news, let's see, Jawa Joyride. I did participate yesterday under Kuze's awesome leadership, as always. We had a full group of 8. We did Group Finder, Scum, and Villainy. Blew through it and earned an absolute ton of conquest points. You got all the bonuses. It was great. So yeah, that was a nice smooth run. I was tanking on my Guardian. And also, outside of game, sort of, preparing for our Revan spoiler cast. Now, we're probably going to record that in the next week or 2. It will not be in the regular recording time slot. I've yet to decide whether it will be live streamed or whether we'll just record privately. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
In preparation for that, I'm reading, or have just finished reading Revan, the novel by Drew Carpassion, and I would highly, highly recommend that anyone playing this game who hasn't already should definitely read it. It sets up a whole lot of stuff. It bridges the gap between KOTOR. It's actually set not long after KOTOR and 300 years before the events of the current game, and is basically the story of Revan post KOTOR and actually post KOTOR 2 effectively, where it sort of bridges it. So, yeah, and in terms of the Jedi Knight storyline, it sets it up completely. You are introduced to Lord Scourge, and you find out a whole lot more about him. Yeah, it's really, really good. In addition, I also did the Jedi Prisoner mission sequence on the Republic side, which is the one that leads you into Taral 5, or Taral 5, and Maelstrom Prison. And, yeah, listening to that and listening to what... Well, anyway, it's all relevant as far as our spoiler cast goes. And I'll do the Empire side as well, which is Boarding Party in the Foundry. And yeah, so a couple of weeks, we will record that. There will be lots and lots of spoilers, but that's why it's a spoiler cast. Yeah, and if you go through all that material, you begin to see where they're probably going with this expansion. It's kind of obvious, sort of. But anyway. Anyway, that's my week. Over to you, Chill.
All right, excellent. First, shout out to the chat room. Colorado J is here, Ghost Mirror, Lord Matrim, Ortolan, Scooby Dooby C, Sotor Buckeye, Beware 2, Force Chuckle, Nepthin, Sukai Beru, and Thras are all here, so hello everyone. I did lots of PvP this week on different characters this time. I even did some on my main operations character, partly to work towards a relic, since I haven't been having any luck with the drops, and partly to see if I like tank shadow PvP, and I kind of do, but I'm going to just look at different classes. For now, I'm kind of still leveling the Sentinel, because that's still kind of the main goal at the moment, but, you know, I'm still the ultimate goal is to find a PvP class that I really enjoy and then stick with it. Anyway, I streamed several times during the week on Twitch, and it's a lot of fun to do, actually. It's also a lot of pressure to talk, so it becomes a bit draining after a while. It's kind of emotionally almost draining in a weird way, but it's very fun, and it's very different from just gaming by itself. I mean, it's night and day different. It's very bizarre, but it is fun. So thanks to everyone who has shown up for those. I appreciate it. And in game, I finished Hoth on my Sentinel, so I got a little bit further than I was last week. And like I said, did some PvP on that character as well. And I also listened to the full version of Red's interview, which was awesome. And I encourage anyone to listen to it, or if you've listened to it, to spread the news, because I think not even SWTOR fans, but just anyone who likes Star Wars, or even just illustration would be interested in hearing what he had to say. So I can't say enough good things about that. Awesome job, Red.
Thanks.
Loved it. Right, so that was my week, and that will bring us to the tip of the week. And how many do we have this time? 2. Simple enough. I'll start us off. Sukai Beru wrote, to get the max class drop in the flashpoints, switch the leader over to the class you want. Gunslinger for lead, and you'll get higher cunning drops. It does not always work, but it helps.
So we were wondering we'd have to do science to actually be sure that this would work out, because you could anecdotally seem to get that, but unless you actually tracked it, you couldn't be sure. But hell, it's worth trying.
Right.
I was saying I know for sure, at least when the game very first launched, when I first hit 50, which was the level cap, my gunslinger won virtually every single roll, no matter where he went and whatever he did, and I was never the lead. But the game's also been through a whole lot of changes since then, so who knows? There might be something to it.
Yep. And we do know that the companions, whatever companion is out, can affect the drops. So you can get drops for companions by keeping them out.
In theory, the way it's supposed to work is basically the classes present, and it apparently includes the companions, will determine what kind of gear will tend to drop off the bosses.
Right.
I mean, that's the mechanism they're employing, just so you don't get useless crap that none of the people in the group can use.
Right. I've heard that it's not percentage based. In other words, if you had a tank trooper, a DPS trooper, and a heal trooper and Sentinel, 3/4 of the drops wouldn't be aim necessarily. It's just
Right.
unlocking aim and strength in this case.
On the loot table.
Yeah,
Right.
on the loot table. So, yeah, that's what I've always understood it to be. But
Yeah, I've definitely been in groups
I
that
don't know
were
about the
all.
leader thing. Yeah.
I definitely know I've been in groups that were all trooper and gunslinger, and then a sage. And I've done flashpoints where literally everything that dropped was willpower, not a single other piece.
Right.
Which is how it works sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Well, right. But even if they did make it percentile based, you could have an odd run of low percentage drops all the time.
Random being random. All right, our second
Especially in
tip
Sword
is
Fight.
from Billy Sai from the Shadowlands server. And he says, while I was doing a quest with a group, I thought of a great tip to help people when they are grouped with friends and questing dailies or heroics. If you finish your mission before your group member does, you can tell by your map if or when they have completed it without asking if they are done yet. Just look at on your mini-map or main map, and look at the circle where you're doing the quest. When it disappears, that's a purple circle, they have finished it. Yeah,
Very cool.
that tracking that they do provide, so your own markers are very clear, the yellow and green dot and whatever, but other members in the group, their objectives are purple. So yeah, very cool.
Very nice. And I actually don't see the winner marking, Tio. So who was the
Two.
winner? The winner was Billy Sai. So congratulations, Billy Sai. You are the winner of an M8R3 code courtesy of BioWare and an OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Wednesday. That will bring us to the Holo feed. Tio?
Firstly, this is something that Red discovered just last week, in fact, when we were recording. A number of the achievements associated with the Nar Shaddaa casino event, Suvada, have apparently just disappeared. And BioWare have responded by saying, I know a lot of you are affected by this issue, still diligently seeing what happened, no updates yet. As far as we know, it wasn't fixed in 2.10.1.
Yeah.
So, Red, what exactly had disappeared?
For me, it was all but 2 of them, I believe. One of them was like the completion of having done it X amount of times, but then the ones that were, along the way were gone.
We're gone. Yeah. That's
And I
weird.
didn't have like the rancor or the exploding machine. It was pretty exclusively knocked out.
Did you notice if the points had actually, your overall point
Yeah.
total had dropped?
Yeah, because I was 100% in that, and I did go look, and I only had like 40 points out of 200 something. So, which was, yeah, it's a big hit. It actually had me panic a bit. It was rather humorous listening to
No.
Old Republic Radio this week because they brought it up on their show, and then while they were on, they were looking at they were like, oh yeah, oh no, I've got all mine, no, it's fine. And then he's like, well, how about you? I just checked. No, I'm missing all, but I did get the Rancor one. And then the other guy who said he had all of his is like, oh wait, I didn't notice. They are missing. So, especially the biggest problem for this is I don't know. I'm really hoping that they can fix this because I know I had 100%. If they can't refund these for whatever reason, I mean, the amount of money that went into actually getting 100% on this, I certainly don't want to do it again.
Right.
It's unlikely the data is lost. They just disconnected it somehow, so it will be back.
Something.
Right.
Which I'm glad that they did, and I did follow up with Tate Watson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did follow up with Tate on Twitter, and he did get back to me and let me know they are definitely still looking into it, but there hasn't. I asked before the patch came out, but he did mention it wouldn't be with this patch, so I'm glad they are. It was definitely a bit of a panic moment. Like, oh my goodness, I'm missing 200 plus achievement points that I don't have an event to do again.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
not until next year.
Right.
I'm hardly a completionist, but that's like one of the only things in the game that I'm at 100% on. So
Exactly.
bummer.
At the minimum, next year they better at least make sure it sticks around for a few months again, like they did this time, because man, that would be a slog if I have to do it again.
All right. Now, also this week, on Tuesday, Game Update 2.10.1 was deployed in an apparently extended maintenance. Went for just over 5 hours. And nothing too big. So let's talk about what's there. Bounty Contract Week returns. That'll be starting in about a couple of weeks, running from October 14 through October 21st. And it looks like October 21st is probably when they're going to do patch or game update 2.10.2, which they're already mentioning that there's going to be stuff in. So, yeah. So Bounty Contract Week is back for its monthly appearance, but not yet. 2 weeks. And this one appeared after the update went live because it's could be considered an exploit fix, so I don't think it's an exploit. It is no longer possible to use flagship transportation to summon other players to the +10 datagron on the fleet.
On the fleet. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a shame.
Maybe the one is still available.
I have got a character parked there, in fact. Ooh. Yeah, so we ourselves were starting to use the fleet datagron, flagship transport, etc. thing. So it's a bit of a shame. I didn't actually get a chance to do it myself, but oh well. You can still do it. You can still get it the old-fashioned way, of course. It's just a pain because it requires a group to actually activate and everything. It's kind of epic, the actual process of getting it, so I can't say I mind that much.
Right.
I guess the flagship transportation just made it a little too easy.
I never even took advantage of circumnavigating it. I mean, it's definitely something like it's fun to do it once, but I didn't think it ought to be doable. Because it's kind of a badge of honor. You get 10 stat points to everything. It's like a piece of gear that you get. You should have to actually work for it a little bit, even if it's just getting yourself pulled up there.
I do tend to agree. All right, there is now an achievement and a title associated with conquering CZ198. There wasn't previously. They kind of mucked it up. Though Tay Watson did say it won't be retroactive in that it automatically grants when 2.10.1 goes live. That won't happen. They are looking at a way to get the achievement and title to those who have earned it in the past. So going forward, if you conquer CZ198, you will get the achievement, you will get the title, and they might try and give it to people who already earned it in the past. But it ain't happened yet.
Does that mean just doing all of the missions and flashpoints once?
No. This is being #1 for conquering the planet.
Oh, conquering. Oh, I see. As a guild. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
I'm wondering if this is ever actually going to happen. Not to upset people, but it might very well be that they didn't have the hooks to track who won what when, and to return. I mean, they might have records of which guilds owned it when, but who was in those guilds at that time? And there's a lot of different floating pieces. If it didn't come out with this, if it wasn't implemented for something to have been in the database, they may not be able to do it, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, fortunately, it was so early in conquests that really the only guilds that got that were the mega guilds, which might be getting tired. They'll be able to do it again.
They'll do it again, yeah, if they need to.
Yeah. So.
Right.
I'm glad they fixed it, though. It's really cool to see that they put that incentive in there, because it is nice gathering all those little titles.
All Rancor mounts now make a sound when activated. I tried this on my Rancor, and I didn't notice anything different. Well, the sound it made was pretty much the sound it always made, I think. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Maybe it was broken on some types or something. I don't know. Let's see. Several decorations have had their bind rules adjusted. We did talk about this previously, where if you right-clicked on a stack, it wouldn't bind them all. I have not tried this personally, so I don't know exactly what they've done. I guess we'll see over time as we come across these things. Now possible to interact with the shuttle at the end of the Legacy of the Ricardo. That's a new tactical flashpoint. Red, you were mentioning this previously. Yep. Yeah. Previously, the only thing you could do was just exit area, because you were just standing there and, well, what happens at the end was happening.
Well, and it wouldn't have been an issue, because that's how it is with most flashpoints, except that the voiceover, whomever is speaking to you, either Lana or Shan, they both say to you, "Hurry, get to the shuttle. You got to get off the planet quick." So you scramble around and find the shuttle, and there's nothing to do.
Right.
I mean, it's such a freaking flavor cosmetic issue, but it's like enough to be just like, oh, that irritated me. So I was actually in the live stream when Tate mentioned that that was going to be in this patch, and man, I was bonkers typing away, and he was like, oh, at least Redna's excited about this, unless he's trolling me. So I totally sent it when they put the patch notes out and it was in there. I sent him a little tweet saying, "Was not trolling you. Totally happy. Thank you." It's one of those little flavor details that really does add to the whole environment of the game.
Well, something else that's a little more useful. Reduce the health of CZ-8X Eradicator droids and reduce the damage dealt by the CZ-2X Eradicator Infiltrator droids in the story and hard mode versions of the Zerka corporate labs. Now, what this one is I think it's the first encounter. You're basically going down this passageway that sort of loops around, and then the droid will sort of pop up at the bottom. You have to find these cards in 3 different rooms on different levels as you sort of circle around to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just a handy tip, if you fight your way down to the room to get the first card, you sort of circle around to just outside the entrance to the room to get the second card, access card that you need. From there, once you grab the card, you can actually jump off the edge. You'll end up right at the bottom. You can then take a rope back up to the level above to get the third card. And then jump down again. So that basically skips a whole bunch of fighting. So just if you're doing it. Now, the actual fight itself, the change they've made here is that droid. Now, the way it works is you fight the droid, he occasionally electrifies the water in the floor, you will have to run out or stay in, and if you want to make your healer work for it. But anyway, yeah, don't do that. He had a ton of health. In fact, we were pugging, and a couple of the DPS, I was with Ari, who was healing, and I was tanking, or the other way around. And the DPS just couldn't get we actually hit the enrage because the DPS was too low. So the boss probably just had too much health. That was in the hard mode. And the little ones, the infiltrator droids that pop up, occasionally, the 2 of them will pop up and they will nuke down your healer if the DPS aren't paying attention and taking them down. So yeah, they reduce the damage of those, so they won't be so bad, and at least the fight won't go on as long, since the actual main boss, has less health. So that's a fantastic change. They have also reduced the health of the large power cores and also the Vigilant, which is the boss in the story and hard mode versions of Zerka Core Meltdown. This is the final boss. And basically what you have to do is go around the outside. There's these cores which you have to DPS down, both inside this inner ring, and then you have little
Kinda
teleport
jumping up a little
platforms to
bit.
get to the ones around the outside. That just takes a whole lot of time because the things have a reasonable amount of health. It's not too bad.
I would have much preferred that they remove 1 or 2 of them. Both up above and down below. It's so redundantly repetitive, and they've nerfed this flashpoint so many times that it's so easy.
So now there's nothing hard about this, and this just speeds it up. It was just unnecessarily a long process to go around the outside. Removing them, well, they're not going to do that. They're all the assets are in there that are just too hard, so at least it'll be quicker now. Reducing the health of the Vigilant, I don't quite see why they would do that. It wasn't really that bad, but whatever.
Maybe just to speed the whole thing up.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, it from start to finish, including the cores. The Vigilant himself, I mean, unless you're in a group that's going to have trouble with him, you're going to have trouble with him at 50%, just as much as you're going to have trouble with him at 100%. So they might have just decided that, the length could be shortened and the difficulty based off of your gear was still high enough.
We'll talk about all that when we get there, just looking at the chat.
Okay.
All right. Rest of 2.10.1, there's just a little thing about it's now possible to complete the Imperial missions, just 3 different bonus ones on Makeb. I've actually never done this stuff or never really paid much attention because I did McKib too many times on the Republic side. I think I only went through it the once on the Imp side. But anyway, if you were stuck on some bonuses you couldn't finish on McKib, now you can if you're still doing those for whatever reason. Okay, now, unfortunately, 2.10.1 kind of broke. Well, there was a couple of things that didn't work as intended. The first one isn't actually so bad. There are companion buffs, or effectively unlocks that you get for reaching maximum affection or completing the class story. It's one of those. With
I think it's actually finishing the companion story for each.
Right. Yeah, I thought so. Because
some require max affection, but not all do.
Yep. If you get the maximum, if you finish the class story for companions of each of the 5 archetypes, that is range tank, melee tank, range DPS, melee DPS, and healer, each one of those will give you a different buff. It doesn't matter which companion, it just needs to be the appropriate archetype. And they give you that some buff. Now, apparently with 2.10.1, that buff has sort of gone up a bit. Like it's given like an extra percentage to crit or to health or whatever it was. So yeah, not quite intended. Kind of nice though. It's like an extra buff to anyone who's actually unlocked this stuff, which most people will have. So yeah, I assume that will go away eventually. But anyway, not so good. They broke the cooldowns on quick travel and fleet pass. These are reduced by various legacy unlocks. So, for example, it should be, if you got them all, your quick travel should be 10 minutes rather than 30, and your fleet pass should be 0 rather than whatever the hell it is. But for me, fleet pass was 3 hours, and quick travel was back to 30 minutes, which is suboptimal, especially if you're trying to get a whole lot of flash points.
You know, this
whole lot of heroics done on planets.
This has happened quite a few times. I would love to know.
Once.
Only once
I can
before?
remember this broke once.
Okay.
Only the once.
I'm really curious what it is. Like, maybe there's something about expansion or something. Like, what are they working on in the background that is tripping this up?
Right.
It's a good question.
You know?
I believe Neptune from Old Republic Radio suggested it had to do with the nerfing of the +10 travel to that datagron. I don't understand that. That probably wouldn't make any sense, but they're mucking about with something, and yeah, it just broke.
Some kind of travel option somehow. I guess it could, since it is a travel option, and they probably use some sort of common code. There might be something tied to it.
Maybe.
It does seem odd, but
yeah. Anyway, they let us know a little while ago that 2.10.1a will be deployed early Thursday morning US time, which is prime time Australia. Thursday evening, of course. Yeah, but anyway, so that will actually
be fixed when this publishes.
Yep, so it's all good. They fixed it within a couple of days. Oh well. So now, apparently that 1 credit slot machine, the slot machine that was missing from the Constable's Stronghold pack, we were I was expecting it would be in 2.10.1, but it's not. They're putting it into 2.10.2, which Smart money would be deployed on 21 October, basically 3 weeks.
Okay.
So anyway, you got to wait till then to buy your stack of 50 and outfit your gambling parlor, your gambling den in your stronghold. So
I've been so eager for this that like every 2 or 3 days I keep thinking, oh, it's been done. I need to remember to do that before the reset because it's limited time. And I logged in 2 or 3 times and then remembered, oh wait, no, it's not up until Tuesday. And then I saw this post. I was like, okay, I just need to calm down.
Yeah, plenty of time. Though I suspect it'll only be available for the 3 weeks before 2.10.3. Yeah, anyway. So, let's get to the main story, which is Game Update 3.0, the end of the year expansion, the massive news update that was supposed to happen at the end of September, well, didn't. Yes, so let me just read this one verbatim from Bruce McLean, producer. Stay back. I'm holding a thermal detonator. To answer your question about the expansion announcement, soon, TM. We are holding the announcement back a bit to add something really nice for subscribers, and we'll be revealing all shortly. a couple of weeks at the latest. The delay of announcement has no effect on the expansion schedule, and we are still sticking to our commitment of launching it this year.
Okay.
And the internet went wild, or the SWTOR community bit of it anyway.
Right.
So a lot of people were somewhat perturbed and perhaps even a little disturbed by this. And that prompted Eric Musco, community manager, to respond. First, he apologized for this last-minute nature of the delay because Musco and Tate were live streaming at the end of the last week, and they gave no hint that there would be this delay. Everyone was expecting the announcement, and what he actually said was, simply put, the studio was doing everything possible to still announce all the details today or tomorrow in September, which was the end of September at the time of the post. Unfortunately, as of today, we moved the timeline back, and so we told you once that decision was made. So as soon as they knew they were going to push it back, they let us know. Last minute decision, clearly.
Right.
I realise a couple of weeks sounds ominous, but know that everyone is hard at work to get you this information as soon as we can, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later. So 2 weeks was like worst case. It could get to us sooner. They're really excited, of course, and they will share the information with us as soon as they possibly can. Of course, the conversation continued, and Musco had to make yet another post. Basically, people were asking, so what's up? Why suddenly does it take an extra couple of weeks when you were about ready to drop it? At the end of September, and he says he can't go too deep into the rabbit hole because that's their internal processes, and they're not going to tell us anything about that. So what he says is, in short, the process we go through internally to announce something as big as an expansion is actually quite complex and extensive. Although you are correct in that the end process may be a video, a landing page with some copy, etc., the process to get them there requires a large amount of moving parts across multiple teams. Aside from just the assets and web pages, there is arguably one of the most important aspects of these types of announcements, the game. By the time we announce, we have to have a concrete idea of what will be coming in the game with the expansion, what types of perks we might give out our subscribers, etc. Unfortunately, with so many moving parts, we can sometimes run into the scenario like we did today. If we are not 100% confident in what we're going to put out for a multitude of possible reasons, it can lead to a delay of the announcement. So don't read too deep into what was said above. He says somewhere in the cog, those moving parts, this delay happened, remains the same. Yeah, they'll get us to details as fast as they can. So my initial thought as far as this goes was they come up with a subscriber perk they wanted us to have fairly late. It would be a pre-order bonus or something for subs, and they actually want to have it live. When they announce 3.0, I'm guessing the pre-orders will probably either be like right then or very close, so they have to be ready to go live. Though when you think about it realistically, unless they're in the game right now, they can't actually do it without a patch. So 2.10.2 would be the earliest that they'd actually give us a pre-order bonus, unless it's in the game right now. So who knows? It could be. We just obviously haven't seen details of it yet. And something nice for subscribers.
I guess
All right.
That's actually an interesting way to put it, because I hadn't thought. My knee-jerk reaction was to take their words at literal value, which was the fact that they were going to give us information about the expansion. But perhaps, because when they said, oh, we have to delay for a couple of weeks because we have a subscriber perk we want to put out there, my reaction was, what the hell does that have to do with the information about the expansion? I don't care about a subscriber perk. I wanted information about the expansion. I hadn't thought that. You might be right. That was the information they were going to give us, not more details about, what a name of a planet is, or, more extensive knowledge other than somehow possibly Revan's alive, which they've already given us. Because for me, honestly, if they had any actual information to give, they should just put it there. Heck, honestly, if they had to delay, they shouldn't have said we're delaying. They should have just given us another tiny little clip, maybe with some GSF with a different colored background so we can all speculate that it has to do with a new map or something. Just put it up there and say, hey, we said we'd give you more information at the end of the month, and it can be absolute trash, but nobody's going to get upset because they gave us something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a big eye-opener to me that maybe the information was subscriber perk information and pre-order information. Nothing to do with the actual expansion itself, and that's why they have to delay. That makes a lot more sense to me.
And this is probably also a massive marketing campaign they just want to launch, and all of this information is sort of all tied together. So if there's one aspect of it they're not sure about, or they haven't actually got ready yet, then they just have to leave it out. Well, they can't leave it out because it's all one piece, and they're probably too hard to actually pull it apart, though. Well, depends. If it is taking them too long to actually clean up or get clarified or whatever, they presumably will just leave it out.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because there's a lot of reasons why something might need to be delayed, and it might not even be... Obviously, first of all, get off of the community manager's back. There's been some really horrible things that people have been putting out there against Musco and Pocket and other people. They're communicating information. That's their job. They can only give us the information they're allowed to give us. So don't get down their throats about it. This could even be a Disney thing. Like maybe they wanted to tell us something about the expansion, but Disney, LucasArts, hasn't fully approved it yet. Like they've given a temporary stamp, but it's not 100%. I mean, there could be any number of things that could even be outside of BioWare's hands for them being able to tell us something.
Yeah, let's not stretch too far.
No, I know, but you get the idea. Like this could really be any number of things, and everybody's going to say, oh no, the expansion's going to be delayed. It could have absolutely nothing to do with the expansion itself. There could be some legal loophole that they need to close before they put information out there.
So they have explicitly said they are still intending to deliver the expansion at the end of the year, and I'm sure that a development timeline is running just fine. Remember with Galactic Strongholds, we had a few doubts just because leading up to it there was just a bit of a dearth of information, etc. But they delivered it, and it worked, and it was just fine. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'd say at this point I'm 95% confident they will deliver the XPAC at the end of 2014. I'm still thinking 23 December, but
Right.
it will be this year.
They're definitely, they always have a very complex map of how they're going to release information, in what order and in what amounts, because basically any information, once it's out there, it is simply out there. It can't be pulled back. So they are extremely careful about what they put in each thing. I mean, like if you look at Strongholds, I mean, yeah, we knew, okay, well, it was player housing, and oh, hey, now there's, now it's also guild housing. We've got guild ships now. Oh, and now there's something called, conquests, and your guilds can, attack other worlds and stuff. And that was all rolled out very, very slowly. And so whatever they're going to tell us is, I'm sure that in addition to the subscriber perks, there will actually be like expansion information.
Oh, sure.
But at first, it's going to be pretty paltry, and then they'll give us breadcrumbs all along the way until release. That's
actually, I don't think that's true. I think they're going to drop it all on us in one big hit. It'll be a big marketing campaign, yeah. But
okay.
We'll see. That's why.
Actually, that could even be a totally different matter. It could be that they didn't have whatever marketing outside the game lined up. Like they couldn't make it actually release at the same time, so they're going to delay on this until they make sure that web advertisement, whatever else, is all simultaneously occurring.
All right,
people inside and outside the game can talk about it. Well, there was one more thing I was going to say. I've lost it, so it must not have been important.
However, all is not lost, because about 24 hours ago, a tweet appeared, which is still there, as in I've got the link to, this is on SWOTORs, the official Twitter account for Star Wars The Old Republic, that is basically pointing at the trailer, and it says, "I will finish what I've started." That's Revan. A Deadly Force returns, etc. It links to the trailer itself, but the image for the trailer that they've shown actually has the logo of Star Wars The Old Republic, and immediately below it, Shadow of Revan.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of knew that the acronym, just because of web page assets, is SOR, Shadow of Revan. Though below it, and this is just text. It says Star Wars: The Old Republic Shadows, plural, of Revan. But anyway, this does not appear on the SWOTOR Twitter timeline if you actually go to twitter.com/SWOTOR. So it looks like a promotional tweet. I haven't really investigated what you can do with Twitter, but it looks like you can actually pay to have this appear in people's timelines. And it isn't actually a real tweet, so to speak. But this is, as far as I can tell, 100% legitimate. It is still visible right now. It hasn't been pulled. It's just kind of special, a marketing thing. And if you actually look at the URL that it redirects to, you can actually see that it is some sort of... There's stuff in the URL that indicates it's a campaign, a marketing campaign.
SOR
That's
social. Yeah, SOR social.
Exactly. So yeah, there's our expansion name. It would appear Shadow of Revan, or Shadows of Revan. I would go with Shadow of Revan. But yeah.
Well, Shadows might actually make more sense too if it ends up being that this is all about the Revanites more than himself. You know, it could be because there was well, we'll talk about it on the spoiler cast. But anyway,
Indeed. No,
the Revanites definitely are more. They'll at least carry it through, I bet, more than one operation.
Mm. Well, maybe, but I'm really... Yeah, this is about Revan. So Shadow of Revan, to me, makes the most sense. But
it sounds better to me, too. That's just a look and feel purely for me. So
aesthetically, Shadows of Revan just kind of stumbles.
A little more awkward.
You stumble over the tongue. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, at least we got that. We got the name of the expansion, if not anything else. So I'm sure that'll be here within a week or two. All right, we'll just finish with a mention of Star Wars Rebels. The premiere is this Friday on Disney, however you want to consume it. The Spark of Rebellion. We'll talk more about that next week when we've officially seen it. Let's see. And also just a quick reminder, Community Cantina will be New York City Thursday evening, 9th of October. 9th of October, that's next week.
Do not expect them to give the big reveal at the Community Cantina. They've already said huge reveals will not be in the cantinas.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of as well. They haven't made that clear.
Right. Do you know of any Utini listeners who are going to that one?
At least someone did mention that they were going. So yeah, hopefully. And if not that, Gadok Teague will probably go there, given that he still lives in New York, as far as I know, or at least close by. So yeah. All right. We in community news, Tessa of the Remnants of Hope Guild on the Youngma API PvP server asked us to just give a plug for their guild. And she sent me a bit of information about it. They do have They do have chapters on both sides, both factions, Republic and Empire. They formed in 2009, been around since the launch of SWOTOR. They support a PvX playstyle, meaning PvE and PvP, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they have departments for PvP, PvE, API, and crafting, etc. They consider themselves a tight-knit, active community, which has also expanded into both Guild Wars 2 and the not doing so well Wild Star. That was just my own editorial. And in episode 157, Chill... Oh shit, was it Chill or was it me? Who interviewed SWOTORista? It was me, wasn't it?
That one's you, yeah.
Yeah. We interviewed SWOTORista of SWOTORstrongholds.com, and she is actually the guildmaster, or was at the time, so of Remnants of Hope. So anyway, if you're on Youngma, RP PvP server, check him out. Clearly a excellent guild and part of a wider gaming community.
That's cool.
Now, a couple of other things on the latest ToraCast. Something that was mentioned was if you try and do a stealth res, be aware that your dots and hots will actually pop you out of combat. So a stealth res is if you are a operative healer and you escape to get out of combat and then attempt to res someone normally, not using a battle res or just a regular res, if you've got HOTS rolling on someone who's in combat, apparently that will break you out of combat.
Right.
So, that will put you back into combat, thus
Or dots on
preventing
an
you from
enemy.
doing the stealth res. So I didn't actually know that. So
okay.
that's really good to know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
explains
didn't know that
why
about the
why it
dots,
fails so
actually.
often. Yeah.
But we definitely had to, because we've been running with a scoundrel healer for, well, ever since the game came out. So we figured that out, and it wasn't until TFB since the start of the game. And in TFB, when we would need to do stealth reses for the three guys. Can't remember what that fight's called before Operator 9.
Right.
But yeah, and he figured it out because all of a sudden, when your HOTS are on the tank, he would have to make sure that he didn't have his HOTS, and he was stopping all of his HOTS and letting everything wear off so that, heals wouldn't affect or whatever. And then he was realizing that his stealth reses were so much more successful, ironically, because he didn't have his HOTS rolling on the DPS, and so some of them died. But
You can also ask everyone to click them off if you really want to.
Right click.
Yeah.
As an alternative. Yeah.
Which unfortunately you can't do for your dots. I did not know, and it's a natural progression that makes sense. But yeah.
Good information, so thank you guys from OotiniCast for that. And finally, I wanted to announce that Snave, the almighty Snave, is doing a live stream with community manager Eric Musco. This will be on the 15th of October, 7 p.m. UK time, British Standard Time. And for the US, that is Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And for us Aussies, it's like 5 a.m. in the morning, most on the East Coast. But anyway, what Snave will be doing, he'll be talking to Musco about community management of the game, and specifically drilling into the community management of the PvP aspect of the game. So, if you know anything about Snave, he is very...
beware, this
earth,
may be an
shall we say.
explicit podcast.
Yeah, and he will be asking... he won't be throwing any softballs. This will be...
He's got some strong opinions. If you listen to what he actually says, he's very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah,
he's very
absolutely.
intelligent, and he knows what he's talking about in a lot of directions. But he does not like to hold punches.
So I've got to admire Musco for actually.
I know. I'm really impressed that Musco is stepping up to this.
So this will be a must-watch, I suspect.
Yeah.
So
And
I'll
might
include the
want to watch
details. This will be on Snave's live stream. I'll include the link in the show notes. And yeah, we'll remind you again next week. Anyway, that's the news.
Alrighty, that brings us to the force feedback where we read out your tweets and emails. And chat room, if you have any questions to ask, Red will be gathering them now to ask once we're done with the feedback. At DSanOB wrote, with companion presents, don't forget the new relics from the Rat Ghoul event and the consumables from every cantina vendor.
That's both good tips. Yeah, you don't actually need particularly high rep to get those relics from the Rat Ghoul event, which will no doubt be returning sometime soon, even though it's been eradicated from the galaxy, blah, blah. And we should also mention that DSanoB Dan O'Brien is also the maintainer of the @SWOTOR Tracker Twitter account, which will tweet out every time there is a post made by a dev on the official forums.
Yes, I love following that one.
Mm-hmm.
And RTB wrote, any word on a Vegas Cantina date yet? Some of us really need to book flights. # can't afford a whole weekend in Vegas.
Now, Hillary Nicole, our community coordinator, did get actually back to me, and basically she can't actually give me a date because I haven't actually finalized it. They probably got she said they have got a kind of a ballpark day and time, but until it's actually locked in, she can't really tell us. So they're working on it. They will let me know, and I'll let everyone know as soon as they have a day and a time locked down for the Las Vegas Community Cantina. So just got to be patient.
Yeah, I would love it if they could at least maybe remove one of the dates, like, because right now it's Friday through Sunday are the options, and if they could say, well, it's not going to be Sunday, that would be great, because I could work around that.
Yeah.
But we're getting down to where we're all basically a month away. And yeah, I too need to get that locked in. So, all right. Hopefully that answer will come soon. At Jumaraf and JB wrote, someone give the guy some credit. Megacraft Star Wars locales.
Yeah. This is basically just a YouTube video showing some Minecraft environments that are basically models of SWTOR in places.
Oh, is is Megacraft also Minecraft, or is that?
That's just.
I thought it would
not
be something
actually
different.
anything.
I thought it would be more like those Mega Block Lego things.
No, it's Minecraft.
So it's Minecraft Star Wars locales. That's cool. I definitely will check that out.
Someone has gone to a hell of a lot of trouble, as there's many examples of stuff in Minecraft where people have done this kind of thing, and it's amazing.
Hogwarts, the entire Eastern Kingdoms, I think it is, of Warcraft. Yeah.
No doubt.
Crazy stuff.
Of everything, basically.
Grim wrote, episode 166 of OotiniCast regarding Jedi. Well, they do go away eventually. I know you are chill, but that was cold.
What did you say? What was that in relation to? Do you remember?
Oh, he was saying that he kind of wishes that the Jedi would just go away, you know, or Jedi would just shut up and go away. And they say, well, they do go away eventually.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Madmar at SWTOR Family wrote, in relation to one of the tips of the week, to see if your guild has 50 of an item. I've noticed that if the guild has 50, the decoration will just go straight into the guild bank.
Well, that's useful, I guess, but I'd still like to be able to hover over it and tell me whether the guild actually has any of them. It's the 0 case that I'm interested in.
Right. Kuze wrote, I didn't know that BioWare somehow messed up on the stat distribution for the Sentinel Legs enhancement until the last podcast. OotiniCast for the win.
Yep. That was a useful tip if you're after that particular enhancement.
Right. Russ Moody wrote, I think the operative voice actor is doing Land Rover adverts on UK Stitcher. Freaky. We'll have to check that out. That sounds kind of cool.
It actually is him, though. It's probably fairly easy to sound like that. The gravelly English Michael Caine kind of voice.
Chaz Lobo wrote, escorted wife through a 5K Kessel run and got to geek out at the end. Hashtag Star Wars.
Now, presumably that's your friend Strong Shocker, Chaz Lobo, with in that picture, Red?
Yes, that is him.
Very nice.
And
with a rebel pilot and a scout trooper.
He was quite excited about that.
I'll bet.
It was like, man, the whole run was worth it just to be in this picture.
I hope they didn't have to run too, because those boots look really uncomfortable for a 5K marathon, mini marathon.
Indeed. Those are awesome costumes, though.
They are. They're excellent.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if they're 501st guys, or if they're just regular cosplayers. Anyway, that's cool. Gas Guy wrote, hello, Codex collectors. I am pleased to report that 5 of the bugged codexes on Hoth have been repaired and updated. The organization's Chiss Ascendancy and the White Maw Pirates, along with 3 species, Chiss, Tals, and Ortolan, all have working codex triggers. A report by the Iron Monkey also revealed how to get the new locations Carrick Station and Valken Space Dock. Look for the typical plaque on a stand near the top of the stairs in the center ring of each fleet. And I found that a new game rules codex named Galactic Strongholds was present on Drum and Kos. That's kind of cool. To get the specific location details, please see my post on the SWTOR forums in the Story and Lore section. Keep on hunting. Well done, Gas Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's good at those. All right. Zactor, spelled with an X, _Ord, wrote, in the quest Heroic 4, the Shroud revealed. When you finally enter the Shroud's lair, near the trash compactor is a droid head on a shelf that is awfully familiar to Jackaroo's droid. See the attached screenshot. Then, when you're inside his control room, a monitor screen shows a picture of the same droid head with a target on it. Speculation?
So he's wondering whether it's Jakaro's, the droid that he carries around his neck. It's just the head. That's C2D4, and the answer is no.
Probably not. Yeah.
So I included some pictures. If you actually look at C2D4 in the images with Jakaro, you can see that the design isn't really quite the same. And what you're actually seeing on that table is a Class 6 protocol droid, the head of a Class 6 protocol droid. And there's a few of them in the game, and they do actually match exactly what you see on that table. Whereas C2D4 is actually quite a bit different. So, yes. no connection. Sorry.
All right, Brian Walls wrote, a very rare deco that I handcrafted for the Despair Guild ship.
A carved pumpkin with the Empire symbol, it would appear. Awesome.
That is nice.
I'm trying to tell, though. I mean, like, I'm looking at this. That almost looks like a Photoshop to me. Like he put the Imperial on a picture of a pumpkin.
No, it's not quite that
The
perfect.
light coming out of that pumpkin is way too good. And uniform, with no source.
You skeptic.
Possibly. He may have put up like a screen or something that would help, throw the light around a little better.
Maybe.
Either way, it looks awesome.
It does.
All right, Tio, take it away.
Our last email is from Mark. That's at Mark_Swotor on Twitter. So he had a bit of an adventure with Swotor customer service and a rather nasty bug. So what he says was he was on his guild ship rearranging some crafting materials. What he was attempting to do was move some neutronium, whatever, from Cargo Bay 1 of the 5 that he's got unlocked to his personal inventory. So he could send it back to an alt for crew skill, leveling, etc. And the stack wouldn't move. He clicked it a bit until he saw the wonderful red X of laggy doom that is on your minimap, indicating that your connection to the server ain't doing so well.
Right. Just about gone.
Yeah, the lag he ran into was so bad he had to Alt F4, as in exit out of the game, as it wouldn't even send me back to a loading screen. Yeah, this happened to me as well. If you lose your connection, and that happens rather often, unfortunately for me, you just got to exit the client. Anyway, he said his home internet's been a bit dodgy lately, so that's what happened. The game had been fine for the other 3 hours that he'd been on. He shut everything down, restarted his router, started the game back up again, and logged back in to that character. The first weird thing he noticed was he wasn't on his guild ship. He was on the fleet in the area you zone into. We're not using a fleet pass, which is pretty much the default location when you exit a stronghold.
Right.
So it's a bit weird, but whatever.
I think it's also the generic location when the game just doesn't know where to put you, period.
Maybe.
I think if your location is completely lost, I think that's also where it will default to.
I thought it stuck you at the quick travel point on the fleet.
I could
in
be
that
wrong.
case. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, more seriously, he walks over to the cargo bay access point and clicks on it. Cargo bay 1 pops up and is empty. He noticed that the small stack of neutronium he'd been trying to pull out was in his inventory, but that's it. So hundreds of grade 1 through 9 materials gone. Now he checked the other 4 bays in his cargo bay and they're all fine. His legacy bays, he's got a couple unlocked, they're fine too. And that's where he's got all of his thermal regulators and mass manipulators, etc. There would have been homicide involved, he says, somewhere if that went missing. I can imagine. Anyway, he logs out and back in again in the hopes it's just a spectacularly awful glitch and 2 years of gathering hasn't gone poof. But no luck. So this prompts and put in his first ever customer service ticket. He explains the circumstances, waits a response. He eventually gets one where they explain that the only reason they can see materials disappearing from his inventory has been via crafting, but nothing to indicate anything lost, destroyed, etc., as he indicated. This agent then marked the ticket as closed and prompted him to call customer service, as this wasn't to his liking, as you can imagine. Yes, I would be quite irate and just, Anyway, the phone agent was very accommodating, took down more details, and and then said she would transfer it to the appropriate parties as phone support can't help with in-game issues like this. He finally had a follow-up from an agent named James, who reiterated they could not find any other source of items disappearing from his inventory other than crafting. And he got kind of upset about this because he sort of misunderstood what they're trying to say, but then they did actually clarify it, and they explained that what they actually meant was the only indicator of anything leaving his inventory in their own records from their end was that the mats were used for crafting, and that's it. This gap in their database auditing is frightening, Mark says, and I hope they can have someone on their team look further into it. He can get his mats back eventually the old-fashioned way, as in gathering them again or whatever. But you can imagine someone losing entire gear sets and whatnot. That's just bad. So, from my point of view, this is kind of terrifying that this kind of bug actually exists, where just through a glitch somewhere in the connection between the client, the server-side database back-end, it can just completely lose an entire cargo bay full of stuff. This should not be possible. And obviously it doesn't happen a lot, or very, 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 very rarely, but the fact that there is a tiny, tiny gap is not good. So,
yeah, I think if I notice my connection going bad, I'm going to be closing up my cargo bay holds.
Well, it's remarkably fascinating. They should have a before and after track of materials. You would think, just like in Windows, roll back to an earlier version, there should be something that tells you what it was before.
Some kind of audit trail, yeah. Or the actual interactions, whenever you move something, remember that you see that loot lag sometimes where you click on something or open a cargo bay and it takes a while. That sort of implies that the database connections are basically, it's all happening in real time. So when you see something, that's been pulled directly out of the database. When you change something, it is actually updated directly in the database. But for performance reasons, having to wait for the database transactions to commit will just take forever, especially if a lot of people are doing it. And so they do cheat a little bit in having a delay. But again, nothing should be committed. Nothing should be made permanent.
There's still something that is actually deleting an amount before it's actually in your bag.
So, Mark's misfortune, well, horrifying for him, personally, obviously. Hopefully this will actually lead the devs to actually look a bit closer at the code and actually follow this through and find out where that gap is. Because in my own programming career, you do actually get these 1 in a million things, and that means that there's a hole, and if something's fallen through it once, it will fall through it again. So anyway, let's hope they do actually sort it out.
Okay. Red, have there been any questions?
Yeah, we've got, scrolling down. So, just for each of us individually, if you want to try and be prophetic, what day do you think that 3.0 will be released?
Tuesday, 23 December 2014.
I'm biased, yeah. I think Tio's got to be right. It seems the most likely. I mean, if it's much earlier, boy, they're cutting their marketing short at that point.
Yeah.
And it can't be any later because it's committed to this year. I mean,
so actually, that's a good question. Do either of you recall pre-orders for 2.0 for Makeb? Did pre-orders get any kind of early access? Was it a week early?
Yeah,
5 days.
a few days.
I checked.
5 days.
I actually went back and checked. It was 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can commit to that Tuesday the 23rd if that's the pre-order begin date. And then it's 5 days later for everyone else.
Chances are that will be the go live date, and pre-order will be 5 days before the 23rd, so 18th, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
For us to get in as pre-orders.
So that's where I would differ.
Okay.
And RPG, he really wants to know who cut Tio's hair.
Is there a problem with my haircut, Simon? But anyway.
Simon being our guest last week. And there was a question too. So this was from Thross. I have another character I'm running through McKeb. There are terminals that buff you up. How long has this been in the game?
Does he mean the satellite support thing that they added with 2.10?
Yeah, it was
Was
like
it 2.10?
it was
It's
only
for
like a
30
month
minutes.
ago or something, right? Yeah, it was recent.
Yes, we believe it was from Game Update 2.10. They've done it just as a way, we guess, to get people through McKeb a bit quicker. Just to
So this
buff up
is
the
that
gear.
universal buff thing that they had been talking about. Okay.
Buffs
So about a
everyone
month.
to item 156 at least, I think.
I thought that would be a planet-wide like bolster buff, so that's good to know that you actually need to click on something to get your buff on.
Is it the same buff that gives you like regular healing all the time? A bit of healing all the
Yeah.
time?
You trickle heal, just like you've got your heroic moment running all the time. I didn't actually think you needed to click on anything, but I'll admit I have not been to McKeb to actually check it
Right.
out.
I know I haven't been there either. We might need to check on this and come back next week.
Indeed. We'll get into details about that. All right. Anything else?
That is... Oh, actually, yeah, there was one more question just to reiterate. For the interview that Snave is doing, that is 1 p.m. Central, right?
Yes.
Okay.
1 p.m. Central.
And October 15th.
Yes. So what's
Which
that?
I'm-
11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. If I can, I will be there.
All right.
That's it.
All right, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Utini Rage.
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel, then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, we're on @utinicast. I Twitter under my own name, @BrandonL Star, and I stream under twitch.tv/chillswotor. And Tio uses his name for Twitter, @JasonEtheridge. Boy, that was ham-handed. Red Twitter's under R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. Maybe I'll put mine after that next time. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, and we're also on Stitcher and Spreaker. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room, and thanks, Red.
See you guys next week.
Indeed.
All right. Just stay recording for a little bit longer. Chat room, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a short show. Simon, I'm still don't know what you're talking about regarding my hair, but anyway. Yes, it's
Not a bowl
short.
cut.
Age 1.
Honestly, it
It's
looks
on a bowl.
It's
to be
anything but
fair,
a bowl
it looks
cut.
better than other haircuts I've seen you take.
Wait, what? Anyway. All right, we'll see you next week.
Good night.